In Genesis chapter 4, verses 1 through 15, we learn of the tragic death of Abel by his brother Cain. In the narrative, God is both the mediator and the judge as he seeks to bring about peacemaking, healing, and justice in the midst of the situation. Today, our guests will share of their service in both the adult and juvenile justice systems and how their faith is being transformed in the process. Please stay tuned for the show. Welcome to Perspectives on Faith and Culture. I'm your host, Karen Crozier. Today I have three important guests today sharing with me of their service in the juvenile and institutional court system. First, we have Camille Valentine, who is the Director of Mediation Services in the Family Division. Welcome, Camille, to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Second, we have Saya Lamea, who is the Community Justice Case Manager. Welcome to the show, Saya.
Thank you so much.
And third, we have Robert De La Torre, who is the co-founder of ROC, which stands for Restoring Our City's Kids. Welcome to the show, Robert.
Thank you.
Well, you all are involved in peacemaking services in the ways that you engage the institutional court system. Please share, how do you understand this text in the ways that mediation, judge, healing, dealing with the issues of the victims occur? Camille, would you like to share first?
Well, when I think of God and Him being the judge and the mediator as it relates to Genesis 1 and 4, I believe that God really wants us to be reconciled to Him, and He gives us an opportunity to cleanse our mind and our heart and in whatever our circumstances are, whatever it is that's keeping us heavy, He gives us a chance to come to Him and cleanse ourselves. And sometimes when we become the victim or we become the offender, we are able to say, hey, I've done this injustice. I really need your forgiveness. Let me see what I can do to bring about some equity or to fix whatever it is that I've broken, and in the process, how can I be able to clarify my future intentions? Whether it be, I won't do this again. This is what He is asking of us. Total repentance.
Right. There's a lot of different concepts you shared there. Saya, would you like to elaborate on something that Camille shared concerning the text and your experience and understanding?
Yes, several things comes to my mind when I read the passage, but for the sake of the time, let me just mention two. First thing is that in that specific context, this is the very first violent crime that we encounter since creation. And then second thing is that it's a problem-solving approach. If you look at on that verse, it seems as Cain decided to kill his brother as a way of, saying, if I kill my brother, then I solve my problem. If you look on Genesis 3, there you see Adam and Eve decide to hide, saying that, if you hide from God, then our problem is solved. And if you go a little further in Genesis 13, then you see Abraham and his nephew, Lot, where I think Camille will agree with me, that's one of the models that we like to encourage people who come to our program, is that we tell people this is the type of model we need to see in folks, where you see Abraham confronting his nephew, saying, if you go left, I go right. If you choose to go right, I go left, saying that I'm not hiding this time, I'm not going to kill this time, but I'm going to come face to face with you, and I will confront you and see ways on how we can solve this problem here.
So you brought out the emphasis of problem solving and how problem solving does not necessarily solve the problem. And Camille was raising for us how God does not want us to hide from Him. So Robert, how would you look at this passage and your understanding of the various topics we are discussing?
What really spoke to me was the burden that Cain felt in the punishment process of this, in that peacemaking, or the lack of having that, or the lack of forgiveness, is a heavy burden for one to carry. It's like a bag of bricks, and before he lashed out and handed those bricks over onto his brother by taking his life, had his own bricks that he didn't know how to deal with. And it was a reflection of what was going on inside of him that he brought outside. And so then you find that in doing so and in taking action that he could not reverse and could not undo, it created an issue that needed resolve, that gave him an outlet to be able to put down those bricks and then move forward with his life and have that healing, have that forgiveness.
Wow, the metaphor, the symbol of the heavy bricks. So in your services in the court systems, you deal with people who have heavy bricks, heavy burdens. Please briefly describe, beginning with you, Camille, your service and how does it deal with peacemaking?
Through the Center for Peacemaking, that is with the University of Fresno Pacific, I am the Director of Mediation Services, which is a new division for us, family division. And even when we worked, we have 3 divisions. One is a civil, one is probate, and our newly program is family. But people are so heavy burdened when they come to us. They are sometimes confused. They are not aware of what their options are. They just feel like coming into the very doors of the courtroom is just so heavy, burdensome. And with the services that we provide, in particular with family, we're dealing with divorces, so it's highly charged, highly emotional, and they are, for the most part, very adversarial. And so when they're coming to a mediator is one to provide an opportunity to have a constructive conversation about what is to be done about the stuff, dividing assets and debts and these different things, and how to create a co-parenting plan. And also, this is a confidential setting. We're not going to kiss and tell. You get a Vegas deal with us. You come to us, you are safe, you feel secure, and lastly, you have the power to use your self-determination. And that's what it's all about, having a confidential setting, it being voluntary because you're there because you want to be there, and those are the agreements that last, and you have the power to change your circumstances. Not a judge. A judge doesn't know you. Whoever you trust, an arbitrator, they don't know you, they don't know your situation, and no one can tell you better what to do about it than you. So when they come to someone like myself, it is a breath of fresh air because we provide a peacemaking process. And the peacemaking process makes sure that the communication is something that's constructive. And they are very, very appreciative and grateful when they leave. So I'm very happy to be able to provide the service.
So do they get to choose the mediator, or does the judge? Just real quick, yes or no?
No.
Okay. Saya, as a community justice case manager, share about how peacemaking is being done in that particular service in the juvenile justice system.
Okay, before I answer that question, let me just explain to you a little bit what the program is all about. Then you will understand where exactly peacemaking happened in the process. Well, we work with juvenile. We work with juvenile who are in trouble and who goes through the court system, and depending on what exactly the crime is, and then if that crime fits our criteria, the CJC program, then the judge make a refer the juvenile to our program. And from there, we give a juvenile an opportunity. This time to make things right, first of all, with his own family, because the burden also is taken upon parent, because they have to go, he's under 18, so the parent has to take charge of everything. And second, we give an opportunity to the juvenile, this time to face the victim, the person that he or she has done wrong to. And in that specific instance, that's where we start seeing peacemaking start occurring. First, it's by apologizing. And second, to say, you know what, yes, I'm wrong for what I've done, but what are the ways in which I can make things right with you? And third, let's leave this room here knowing that this incident will no longer happen in the future. So that's exactly when our peacemaking happened in the process.
Thank you. Robert, please share about how ROC does peacemaking. Describe the service that you provide and how does peacemaking actually take place.
Okay. Well, what we do is we go into the juvenile hall and meet with a pot of young ladies and a pot of young men, and we utilize something we call a peacemaking circle, which is the form in which where we can sit in a circle speaking with one another, but where each person has an opportunity to speak their truth, and at the same time an opportunity to listen to others' truth. And the topics can range from something very introductory and then just go from there as to wherever it takes us. I mean, there's times where we've started with something as small as if you knew something about me, you would know, and then they would fill in the blank. And then we found ourselves the next thing talking about molestation and rape and substance abuse, and from all types of topics. So it really just gives that forum for each individual, depending where they are in their healing and peacemaking process, to be able to express it.
Thank you. Wow, those are broad range of services that we're providing in our court system for both our youth and adults. So I'm going to start with you, Sayed. What are some of the challenges that you have faced with trying to present this model to the courts, to the parents, to the broader community? What are some of the challenges that you have faced in your experience in sharing this service?
Yes, that's a really good question. But I think the easiest answer to answer this question would be, I would say that restorative justice in itself, it's a new recipe to a lot of folks. And a new recipe, sometimes people don't like to, some people prejudge because they don't know if it will taste good. And some people will just hear from some other folks and they will never even try it. And some people will try it by themselves and then see if it really works. So the same thing that's really happening with this type of program or service. A lot of folks are new to it, therefore they prejudge the program already because a lot of people are acquainted to the old system of punishment. You have done wrong to me, and then this is what you get for doing wrong to me. So when you try to introduce something like this in a mind where retributive justice is so deep inside, there's no room for such idea as, why not to get the victim involved? Why not to get the community involved? Why not to make the offender accountable and responsible for what they've done wrong? So that's some sort of challenge that I come across with people in the justice system, community folks, but as well also people who have never been.
Right. Sayed has introduced a term that hasn't been used, restorative justice, in this conversation, because we're talking about peacemaking. Camille, could you briefly give a description of what is restorative justice?
Restorative justice is really an opportunity to restore the justice that we feel is broken in our community. And it gives people an opportunity to choose an alternative. Like, for example, in Fresno Superior Court, we have a department called the Alternative Dispute Resolution Department. And that's our way of using restorative justice, is so that parties can not only seek justice, but along the way use their opportunity to try to reconcile their accounts or settle the case or come up with some type of agreement.
Great. Well, we are at the midway point, so we're going to take a break. Please stay tuned when we come back.
KNXT thanks all its loyal viewers and respected businesses who have supported your Catholic television station. Now you can support KNXT with program underwriting by having your name, your company's name, or organization associated with your favorite program. Detailed information about you or your company will appear before and after each program or day part you select. Keep the quality and spiritual message alive and make a difference. Call 559-488-7440 today or go online at knxt.tv to find out more about program underwriting on KNXT.
Welcome back to the show. Today we are discussing peacemaking and service with our guests from the juvenile and adult institutional court system. Camille, we left off with the question concerning what is restorative justice, but then looking at what are the particular challenges that you have experienced as a mediator in the family division?
That is a great question. What are some of my greatest challenges? I would say that there's not enough awareness with what we do and what we offer. And I believe that as a peacemaker and as a mediator, a part of our job is to raise the awareness so that lay persons could be aware that you can go to court. It does not have to be a frightening experience. When you go to court, you'll actually have someone there that is unbiased and that they can provide an option for you to get off of the judicial highway and settle your differences or create an agreement so that you can move forward with your life. So that's one of the greatest challenges. And then my second greatest challenge is that when parties see that there is an opportunity for them to reconcile their accounts or create an agreement, that they use it.
Thank you. Robert, with the juveniles in your voluntary service, share please what have been some of your greatest challenges?
Wow, there are many challenges. Us as individuals, each one of us, and just accepting the idea and trusting the process in peacemaking is a great challenge in itself. Because often you can have someone else forgive you, but if you don't forgive yourself, it's hard to move on from that point. Also, peers create a problem. So although our circles are, what is spoken there remains there, it's in an environment of trust, you still have the influences there, especially when we're talking about gangs. With gang activity, you have a lot of the negative influence, so that if a person is starting to try to reach out in a way that they haven't done before in new territory, they can either be ridiculed or given a look as if they're betraying their fellow peers. So often you'll have the peers become one of the challenges. And the fact of that we can only reach so many at a time. There's a lack of feet in the street to do this, because it requires going into the juvenile justice system itself, which can be a lengthy process. So we currently have, our partner organization, Focus Forward, who is our vehicle, our conduit in helping us get in there, but who would benefit from more partnerships like that.
Yes. So we'll get to that at the end. I'm going to start with you, Robert, on this next question. Please share, how has your faith been formed in this process, or the particular ways in which you see, wow, God, we have our own individual burdens, but yet we're coming to provide this service. So how am I to prepare myself to serve in this capacity? What has been some of your own aspects of faith formation and development in this process?
I'd say it's been a lot of making peace within myself first. Realizing that there's no impact that I'll be able to make if I'm not working on this process with myself, because we're not a program. We don't call ourselves a program, we call ourselves a process. Because programs are in a box, and life doesn't fit in a box. So having to do some of your own work first is critical. It's huge in playing in that. But in just seeing how God can open doors that you couldn't imagine, just really grows that. I mean, you've experienced it with me, and just some breakthroughs where youth will talk about some things we didn't expect, but it starts with oneself.
Sarah, what would you say have been some of your own faith development?
Yes, as you can hear, I have an accent, so I'm not from here. I'm from Congo, Central Africa. And where I'm from, the language of being a peacemaker, it's not really used on an everyday basis, just because of different issues that goes with the country. So nobody wants to be that person, that grown-up person in the room to say, you know what, I will do this in order to resolve this conflict here. But working in this process has helped me myself, knowing and recognizing that Christ has called us to be peacemaker. And that's something that I was maybe not aware of. And even when you go further, Paul is encouraging people to be ambassador of Christ, by bringing the message of peace around the world. So this program has helped me in the sense that I live in a community that's where I was not born, but on a daily basis, helping folks to resolve the issue, and has helped me to grow in such a way that sometimes when I look at myself, the person I used to be in Congo and the person I am today in the U.S., it's a different, two different persons.
And so what are the two different, how would you categorize or characterize the two different
The person
people?
in Congo is the person who don't want to, basically I don't want to go be extreme as Cain by killing, want to resolve my issue, but it's the type of person who don't want to confront the person and trying to be, how should I say it, more of being more structured about the issue and saying, this is something it's killing us right now, but let's find ways in which we can move on and then still keeping that relationship, being more like like Abraham, but now being in the U.S., also working through this process, it helped me to go in that sense, knowing that every single conflict is not to be resolved by violence. We can work it out as human beings. So that's the two characteristics that I see in myself.
Right, the extreme form of violence that usually takes place within our marriages when they get to that point of needing you, Camille, must be a heavy burden. And so how do you really cleanse yourself that you don't get caught up and tangled in the different issues that these couples are bringing to you?
Well, I think to myself, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall see the face of God. Really, Dr. Crozier, I focus a lot on prayer. And I pray for my clients, and I pray for who God will send me to. I realized very early in my program, as I was getting my master's in peacemaking and conflict resolution, that I was called to be a peacemaker, was called to be a mediator and a facilitator. And so when I'm thinking of these clients who are coming to me broken, I try to create a safe space. I try to create peace in the room and the environment. And I recognize my power that God's given me to be the salt and to create some flavor, to change the atmosphere. So through the process, they're coming in and they may have their own perspective about what they're going to do, what they're going to say, and what they're not going to say. And they're really heavy. But when they leave my office, I am able to verify this through my exit evaluations, that they are more lighthearted. And there's this grid that I ask, or a question that I ask at the end of the evaluation, and what was your feelings before mediation? And it's usually hostile, I hate him, I can't stand him, or her. And when they're leaving, they're more caring. So that lets me know, that's an indicator that will tell me that God is working in this thing as long as I decrease and let him increase in me, and use the power of prayer, that there can be some reconciliation, although I am dissolving marriages.
Yes, that is heavy. And when you talk about people become softer, and as Saya was saying, his own journey, and Robert looking at the work that needs to happen within himself, it's like we have to find those ways of saying, what is my stuff
Right.
in this process? Because we are part of the process.
Yes.
As service providers in this peacemaking process. Robert, you had indicated earlier that there needs to be more people involved in this. So how do you think that, what is your words of encouragement for people to join or support the work that your service that you're providing?
The way to get involved would be to contact myself at Fresno Pacific University. The benefit, I can't even describe to you how blessed I've been in being a part of this whole process. Just a quick example, there was one youth that I, for the life of me, could not get him out of my mind. Every day I would wake up thinking about him. Every day I go to bed thinking about him. And lo and behold, one day when he got out, I told him, hey, we just have lunch. And I had my Facebook open one day, and here popped on this picture, and come to find out this was the son of a good friend of mine that I didn't even know, and to the point where I was speechless when I saw this picture pop up. And it was just awesome to see how God had constructed this and chose to use me. But what I can share with you is there was a time when I was struggling in this because of things going on within my own life, that this man was praying over me. And didn't even know, in essence, he was praying for his son by praying over me, and it was just awesome. So I would encourage people to take a step out in faith, because you're right. It says in Matthew, blessed are the peacemakers who are children of God. So if we're God's children, it's not only our duty but our obligation to become involved in being peacemakers.
Camille, how do you get people involved? What do you have to say to those who are interested in participating and seeing their faith in action in this particular way?
What I would recommend that they do, especially if they're being sued for the first time, you would fall into our civil program. If you are trying to grant custody or have an estate issue or probate matter, that you will contact the Center for Peacemaking. Or if you're interested in learning more about what to do to get a marital settlement agreement created, I would also recommend that you visit our website, which is http://mediation-services.co, mediation-services.co, and that will list our brochures for our program.
Thank you. And Saya?
Well, I will tell them that come get trained with the Victim Offender Reconciliation Program in Fresno, and get to know more about the process. Get to know more exactly what we are all about. You know, try this new recipe, and then see for yourself, and then make up your mind. See if you want to be part of a process where, on a daily basis, you have to wake up, and then go and resolve people's conflicts. So that would be my word.
Well, in 30 seconds or less, guess, what would be your closing thoughts for our viewing audience? What would you want people to walk away with concerning the show? You have given great information, and we're going to begin with Camille. What is your 30 seconds or less? What is your closing thought for our viewing audience?
I would encourage them to be informed so that they can be empowered in whatever capacity that they are seeking. I pray that if they need reconciliation in their lives, in their families' lives, whether it's on a legal system or personally, that they reach out to those parties who are available, like myself. I'm able to answer questions, interviews, trainings, whatever it is that you need. I would pray that you get the help that you need, recognize that it's available to you, and use it. Use it.
And Sarah?
I would say that people have to understand that punishment within the criminal justice system is not the answer, and tools or process as a restorative justice can be used in the system, because not every single offender can be addressed or approached in the same fashion. So to give a look toward this type of process that we all kind of are involved, it will be an ideal for everyone.
Thank you. And Robert?
I would say that we're all in need of peace. We're all in need of being restored, and that I would encourage others to become part of that process, help release some of those bricks. I mean, if we all took a moment and just reflected on some of the things that have been done to us and the things that we've done and how they've paralyze our relationships and our relationship with the Lord, that we're all in need of that restoration. So find a way to become involved, whether it be in this forum or any of the other forums we're talking about here. But be a pacemaker. Look at the world around us. We're hurting.
Well, that is a great way to end the show. I'd like to thank my guests for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching Perspectives on Faith and Culture. If you have missed any or part of the show, you can see it on KNXT.TV under Perspectives. May you have a great day. Take care, and God bless.